much for introducing me, Morita Sensei. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Senkoba Sensei for organizing the fantastic symposium. So today, I would like to talk about two topics. First one is biocompatible materials, for example, polymers, for medical devices already commercialized. We have succeeded to many types of biomaterials for medical fields. So I would like to, let me show you about what is typical medical devices. And second one is the physical chemical properties of materials always affect the performance of the medical devices. And this is most important topics. What is the role of the water structure of materials on medical devices? Okay? And finally, I'd like to show some example of the completely new biomaterial, multifunctional biomaterials. So intermediate water, what is intermediate water content? And the intermediate water content affects the performance of the medical devices and design of biodegradable polymers. What does it mean? High throughput screening using intermediate water concept. So this is a typical example of the biomedical devices. For example, stents and blood vessels, artificial lung and heart. So these medical devices always, my question is, what is happening at the interfaces between human blood and medical devices? Okay? There are many literatures, chemical and physical, 2D and 3D factors always influence the performance. What is the biocompatibility? So this is the definition of the biocompatibility. Okay? The properties of materials which do not have an adverse effect when the materials come in contact with proteins, cells, and tissues. Okay? We could say non-fouling, bioinertness, and sterility, less non-specific, and less immunoreaction. Okay? This is a typical example of the biocompatible materials, polymeric materials. For example, just biomimicking zwitter-ionic type surfaces, MPC, like this, and hydrophilic surfaces, already commercialized as soft contact lens, polyhema, hydrogel. And this is coming from biopolymer, for example, polysaccharides, proteins, DNA, RNA. And this is the block copolymers, hydrophilic and hydrophobic and hydrophilic, microdomain surfaces. And this type of material, very simple chemical structure, but very nice, very excellent blood compatibility and biocompatibility, newly designed. Poly 2-methoxyethyl acrylate. Okay? Do you find any similarities in these chemical structures? Normally it is difficult, too difficult. So this is a result of the clinical test, already commercialized. This is a control experiment. Polyhema is a relatively good material, but PMA is much better than already commercialized material. This is a human platelet adhesion test using patient blood. Okay, you see here the very activated platelets onto the polyhema, but on PMA there is less adherent platelets. This means PMA is much better than polyhema. Okay? Already approved by FDA. And for artificial lung and heart and artificial vessels and catheter, very good news. PMA has already commercialized. But my question is, why does it work? Okay? We have already commercialized and approved by FDA as stents, catheter, dialyzer, lung, heart, blood vessels, and other implants already. But my question is why? What is the real mechanism? what is the role of the water molecules at the biointerfaces. If you look at this, this is the typical biointerfaces in real world. So you look what you see here, the polymer chain, coated polymers on various medical devices. Okay, so you see here. If the human blood comes into contact with biomaterials, so first of all, so adsorped protein here, okay, protein adsorption. After that, cell adhesion. Okay, if you look at there are two biointerfaces. First one is the cells and the proteins interface. And second one, the other one is the adsorbed proteins and the polymer interfaces. And if you zoom out, you see here cell membrane like this, and adsorbed protein and polymer chain in hydrated conditions, not dry conditions. This is medical field, hydrated condition. So water molecules always organize at the interfaces. You see here, interfacial water, cell and proteins interface you see here. And then, as well, the question is again, what is the role of the water molecule at the biointerfaces to affect the medical devices performance? Very important issue. So there are long history in this field. Relationship between water structure and biocompatibility. If you go back to 70s, very old paper, but very important. They told us the amount of the adsorbed water, just the amount of the adsorbed water is important factor to affect the biocompatibility. And second one, they told us mobility of the polymer chain and water is also important. And then hydration interaction energy, also important. After that, stability and density and arrangement, nature paper, then free water and mobility of the polymer chains, also important. Then again, amount of the free water and non-freezing water as well. After that, German group, Professor Grunte, Jack's paper, structured and tightly bound water layer using self-assembly monolayer. Okay? This is much more important factor. After that, very revival, almost the same meaning. Molecular mobility and flexibility, almost the same meaning as mobility of the polymer chains, as well as water molecules. What do you think? There are many literature so far. What is the most important factor? Everyone knows water is very important, but nobody knows how water important is. Okay, and they told us interfacial water is very important. We agree with these literatures, but there are little consistency. What do you think? Okay, so we have started investigate the interfacial water of our materials. For example, this is a control experiment. Okay, and just a pure water, a differential scanning calorimetry, just a heating curve of just pure water. Okay, just a control without polymer. You see here heating, for example, minus 100 degrees C to 0 degrees C. You see here that this is the melting of ice, the enthalpy change, 334 millijoule per milligram. Very easy. Okay? You see here, very common physical phenomena from ice to liquid water. Okay? Next, what happens if the polymer and water mixture? This is a typical result. Okay? This is a PMA, largest market share in the world. Okay? Because excellent blood compatibility against complement, immunosystems, coagulation, and water insoluble. It is easy to coat it. Low protein adhesion, adsorption and denaturation, and low blood cell adhesion and activation, and low toxicity, approved by already by FDA. This is a result, typical result of the PMA and water system, mixture system, okay? Mixture system. You see here, this is heating curve of PMA and water system. You see here the cold crystallization of water here, and then heating up again, melting of ice below 0 degree. And you also see here the melting of ice at 0 degree, very similar to bulk water, like this, melting of ice at 0 degree. This is just bulk water without polymer, but this is the polymer water system. Okay, what's the difference between them? Okay, you see here the cold crystallization water, okay, and melting of ice below 0 degree. Why? We also see here melting of ice at 0 degree. This means we can categorize at least 3 types of water. First one is the non-freezing water, okay? Very easy, non-freezing, because of non-freezing. And free water, very easy, same as bulk water, okay? Like this. But you see here, different type of water. So we categorize another type, intermediate water. Okay, crystallize in heating, for example, heating process below 0 degree C and melting of ice below 0 degree. Completely different from non-freezing water and free water. Okay, 3 types. This is just a definition. Very simple. And we have already confirmed this is from crystallization of ice. This is the sign of the cold crystallization. This is DSC and this is XRD. You see here, after you see here the cold crystallization water. We observe like this crystallization of ice. This means this cold crystallization of ice is phase transition from the amorphous ice to the crystalline ice. This is just a definition. Okay, we have 3 types: free water, okay, non-freezing water, and intermediate water. Okay, at least 3 types. Very easy. And then this is the chemical structure of the material, typical biomaterials. PMA like this, simple chemical structure. As a control, we synthesize such similar chemical structures, but different polymers. Okay, so side chains are completely the same, but only main chains are different. Okay, very similar but different. And you see here, polyhema, and this is a control. And if you delete from the methoxy group, we can synthesize like this. And if you switch this group to this, and these are hydrophobic, very hydrophobic, hydrophilic, okay, hydrophilic. But instead of hydrophilic polymers, we synthesize hydrophobic polymers. For example, this one, switch from this to this, and more hydrophobic. Okay, there are many types of polymeric materials with different physical-chemical properties. This is a result of the water structure, water state. You see here again, PMA, cold crystallization water. This is intermediate water. But if you see here, there is no intermediate water. Okay, no. Side chains are almost the same. I'm a chemist, but these are almost the same. But the water state is completely different. And this is a polyhema, very little. There is no peak, but more hydrophobic. How about this? There is no peak, regardless of the physical-chemical properties. If we compare with a similar chemical structure, only PMA showed cold crystallization of water. What does it mean of the result? Okay, this polymer is only biocompatible. These polymers are not biocompatible. This is a result of the clinical test using human blood. Only PMA is very good result because of number of platelets very low. But regardless of hydrophilic and hydrophobic, these similar chemical structures are not good. So my question is, intermediate water, why PMA is good? Intermediate water is an important factor of the result. This is a result of the water component of these polymers. Okay, only half of equilibrium water content of PMA is 98%. Almost half of them is intermediate water. But hydrophilic polymers showed a large number of equilibrium water content, but there is no intermediate water. Hydrophobic polymers less equilibrium water contents, but there are only non-freezing and free water. There is no intermediate water. Okay, so in case of PMA, predominant population of the intermediate water in hydrated PMA. This is a result. This is very interesting result. Polymers with intermediate water, all biocompatible. We synthesize new types of polymer. You see here, cold crystal is very biocompatible. And heparin, already known, very known biocompatible polymers. Heparin and polysaccharides families, DNA, RNA, and spit ionic polymers family, carboxybetine, sulfobetine, and hosobetine, all are biocompatible. And PEZ, it depends on the molecular weight. But anyway, but very biocompatible. And PVP. And we have found any other type of biocompatible polymers like this. Okay, this. This is a typical example of the biopolymers water system. For example, DNA and RNA. It depends on the sequence, ATGC sequence. But the important thing is that we have observed always intermediate water using nucleic acid. And heparin, polysaccharides, chondroitin sulfate, always peak of the intermediate water. This is a result. And also this is a synthetic spit ionic system, spit ionic polymer, 3 types. There are a large number of intermediate water and also less platelet adhesion. This means very good polymers with intermediate water. And this is a summary. Okay? We have categorized 3 types of intermediate water. Okay? In terms of structure and mobility. First one is the non-freezing water. We can say so tightly bound water or non-freezing bound water. This is non-freezing water. And free water, we could say scarcely bound water or freezing water, like a bulk water. The third one is most important, intermediate water. We could say loosely bound water or freezing bound water. Okay, this is just definition. By freezability and solid state NMR like this, in situ ATRIR or stretching region like this, binding constant polymers. The important thing is a common point. Similarity is of the biopolymers and synthetic but biocompatible polymers like this. Okay? Similarity is this. This is a result. Let me show you. This is Morita-san. Morita sensei, one of those session organizers, will show us the time-resolved ATRI spectroscopy, dry to wet, how to characterize the intermediate water after my talk. And then this is a result of the solid-state NMR. Solid-state NMR. So mobility, what we found is mobility of the water molecules in PMA is much higher than polyhema. Okay? Mobility is very high. Intermediate water means very high molecular mobility. And Professor Hayashi sensei, next speaker. Okay? Professor Hayashi found the role of the interfacial water layer using force curve, okay? Force curve measurement. If we prepare the intermediate water onto the substrate, he found always like this repulsion force. Okay, the role of the intermediate water means, we can observe the always repulsion force between them. Okay, and my question is that how to design the much more biocompatible polymers using this concept. Okay, already done. Now on progress. Intermediate water contents and high throughput screening. Is it possible? Yes. Polymer synthesis, yes. How to control the intermediate water content. This is a typical result, already published many papers in terms of chemical structure, how to control the intermediate water amount as well as the content. This is a typical example, PMA, like this. We can switch from the, if you focus on the main chain, we can switch from the normal acrylate to this, this. And if you focus on the side chain spacing against the main chain, like this, and if you focus on the spacer length, we can change very easy. Okay? Then we can control the intermediate water contents. This is a typical result. This is a completely new polymers with different intermediate water contents. This is a relationship between platelet adhesion and intermediate water contents, okay? Like this. Not surprising, like this. But if you plot against the non-freezing water is one of the important factors, of course. But if you plot against platelet adhesion, this is a marker of the biocompatibility. There are less relationship rather than intermediate water contents. And contact angles here in water, this is a surface energy, very hydrophilicity or hydrophobicity. This is also important factors affecting the biocompatibility. But if we plot, there are less relationship rather than intermediate water. And again, next, TG is one of the important factors, always also one important factors affecting biocompatibility. But there are less relationship. You see here again, if we plot again intermediate water contents, the relationship between number of adherent platelets and the degree of denatured fibrinogen. Fibrinogen is very important protein to affect the biocompatibility. Okay, so we plot. You see here, very clear relationship like this. Okay, intermediate water rather than other physical-chemical properties. Okay, our final goal. What is our final goal? To save patients, or cancer patients, or cardiovascular disease patients. We need a medical doctor always need bio or blood compatible materials, polymers. This means non-fouling, bioinertness, stealth to overcome the medical problems. Okay, red one depends on the intermediate water content, already done. Next target is here. Okay, next target is here. For example, next generation electronics, soft electronics, flexible electronics, or sometimes we need biodegradability and cancer cell adhesion and antimicrobial properties, always important. But unfortunately, red one and blue one is always trade-off relationship. So it is difficult to synthesize and design of such biomaterials. There is no biomaterial so far. But next target is here, because most of medical doctors request us. So we are now trying to do. Intermediate water contents, what we found is intermediate water contents always affect the result, these results. And we have already prepared, synthesized such type of biomaterial. Okay? This is the result, already published, just published in Science Advance. This is completely new polymer. We changed the intermediate water content for soft electronics. This is final slide. So this is just a demonstration. This is a human, not human, animal hat. Okay, so like this adhesive. This is the meanings, multifunctional biomaterials. adhesive, flexible, and biocompatible, many functions. Normally it is difficult, impossible, but we have done biocompatible polymers and organic electronics, just a fusion of materials. If we prepare such medical devices, electronic devices, very flexible, using our materials, our designed materials with intermediate water content, we can observe the vital information for longer time like this compared to conventional materials. Very good result. Okay? Summary, this is summary. The hydrated water in polymers can be classified into 3 types: intermediate water, free water, and non-freezing water. Intermediate water was found on the hydrated biopolymer. Biopolymer is very broad, including proteins, polysaccharides, nucleic acid, and ATP, glucose, amino acid. It depends on the sequence. But the important thing is always intermediate water is predominant amount. If we prepare the hydrated biopolymer systems or biomolecule system, okay, intermediate water content affects the denaturation degree of soft protein. So, intermediate water could be one of the main screening factors for the design of smart biomaterials. Already, many companies accept this concept and commercialize many materials already. Finally, so I would like to acknowledge Professor Tsuruta Sensei, for discussion about the role of the interfacial water affecting the biocompatibility. Congratulations and best wishes, Professor Senkoba Sensei. Healthcare innovation by the intermediate water science. That's all. Thanks. Thank you very much for kind attention.
For the discussion, yes.
Hi, Professor Tanaka Sensei. Thank you for your always inspiring presentation. I just have one general question.
Yep.
So among all the polymers, maybe including the biopolymer as well, you show high content of intermediate water.
Yes.
What are the commonalities among those polymers? I mean, chemical structure-wise.
You mean the relationship between the chemical structure and the intermediate water content?
Yes.
So, as I saw, actually, it is difficult to find the relationship between just chemical structure and intermediate water content. This is the answer. The much more important factor is not chemical structure. Chemical structure is one of the factors, but predominant factor, not necessary factors. The much more important factor is like this hydrated TZ, lower TZ. I think your question is like this. Okay. I think your question is something like this.
Yeah, but for the glass transition temperature,
it's one of the much more important factors rather than chemical structure. This is one of the answer to your question. Yeah.
I have this question. Thank you very much. It's always very interesting, and I saw that you are much ahead since 2 years ago. But the slide that you just showed with the different types of water or for intermediate water, can I please
which one? Thank you very much for your question.
When you okay, 20 seconds.
20 seconds, okay,
Yes.
20 seconds. Okay, summary.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think you just define each of these waters by one absorbers.
This one? You mean this one? This one?
34, And having in mind the answer that you just gave, I think all of these waters should be presented as a spectral pattern. There is no way that you could define one of these waters with just one specific pattern. It is more like a spectral pattern defining each of those waters, I think.
I think the Morita Sensei can answer the question. But anyway, next topic. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you very much.